like to share with you my art journey. Back around 2017, 2018, I was going through social media and I saw one of my Marines from, I would say 2001, 2002, 2003. I saw some of his artwork on social media and I was so impressed and I was so drawn to it that I called him one day and I'm like, man, how do you do this? This is so amazing. I just never knew that you could do this. And all he told me, I was like, I want to try this. He told me, go get your basic paints, your primary colors, black and white, and some brushes. So I did that. And I got a canvas. And he's like, and just paint. Because I can't tell you how to paint. You just have to paint. So I did that. And when I got a really small canvas, and it just felt like I was like having a sword fight with it with paint. And when I showed it to him the next morning, because I stayed up really late at night, he was like, what is that? Right? Because it was it was just everywhere, and there was just paint everywhere. It didn't look like anything. It didn't depict anything. It just but for me, it was so enjoyable because it was the process of it, right? And I enjoyed staying up that late at night. I was so involved with the paint and what it did on canvas. And since that day, we painted every single day. Every single day. When I woke up, we called each other on FaceTime, Facebook, Messenger, whatever it was where we could see each other's faces and see each other's artwork, we called each other, right? There was times where I would, he and I would make a piece of art and we would get another idea just from that piece of art and we'd create art together, right? There was a time that he and I traveled to New York to put up some artwork that we both, that he created a bowl, I created a bowl, and it was shown together, and it was just an amazing experience, and we still collaborate to this day. And sometimes it would get really dark, at least for me and my thoughts. So I can think back in this painting where it just takes me back to those times where I was just really in a dark place, and I absolutely do not like as far as going back there, because they can be they can draw me in, and once they draw me in, it's a really hard place to get out of. And at the time, like I said, this is me sword fighting the paint, but inside of there you can see little depictions that I would see inside the paint, and I would try to draw them out. And that's how I painted. I called it playing with paint. And this is just me playing with paint. It was for me just to more kind of figure out exactly what I'm doing with paint. So in this, I really like this one because this kind of shows everything that I paint that comes directly from me and things that don't. Right? I think I got this idea from YouTube, something like that. But everything else is from my head. I'm not the type of person that can create something literally straight out of my head. I have to, if I can see it, I can paint it. So eventually I really got into portraits, but they didn't start out as portraits. They'd start out as what I would call the uglies. It was more my emotional state that I would be at that particular time. And it usually happened when Abu and I weren't talking, at least for the short period of time that we weren't speaking in that day or that hour or those 2 hours. Or that at night when he's like, hey man, I gotta go. And this would be probably like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would stay up another hour or two to paint. And that's when my own thoughts really grabbed a hold of me. And I made this one to specifically kind of calm me down. This one is a depiction of my wife. I'm really drawn to portraits, and eventually that's what I like to do. And so I got to a point to a level that I wanted to in order to create exactly what I wanted to create, right? At least in my head, I could create it, and I try to make it and put it on canvas because I would always feel some type of way to where it would get emotional, right? This painting right here is particularly, it's called They Really Don't Care About Us. And so I would go into these thoughts and create these paintings. Eventually, I started my artwork started getting more advanced. I started to paint a little bit tighter, and um, in my head, I've always had this image, and I painted a specific time in history that's so important um, to the United States and the military, and in my life. Talking about a mural. And every time we have a question, or any time that we have, we're drawn to each other in that way artistically, and it goes beyond friendship. It's definitely a lot deeper than that. So there it is. My art journey still continues. It's not going to stop. There's many more things that I want to get into, and it's not just paint. My journey still continues.